Which of the following are used on some highways to direct drivers into the proper lanes for turning? A. Flashing red lights. B. Flashing yellow lights. C. White lines on the side of the road. D. White arrows in the middle of the lanes. D. White arrows in the middle of the lanes. Arrows may be used to indicate which lanes should be used for specific purposes, such as driving straight or making a turn. Which of the following statements about railroad crossings is true? A. It is against the law to go around lowered gates at a crossing. B. You must stop at a railroad crossing when directed to do so by a flagger. C. Not all railroad crossings are equipped with flashing red signals and gates. D. All of the above. D. All of the above. You must stop at a railroad crossing when directed to do so by a flagger, stop sign, or warning devices, such as gates or flashing lights. Not all railroad crossings are equipped with such devices. It is against the law to drive around lowered railroad crossing gates. To drive safely at night, you should: A. Increase your following distance. B. Not drive if you are tired. C. Make sure your headlights are working properly. D. All of the above. D. All of the above. At night, visibility is reduced. Take steps to make driving in the dark more safe for you and the other drivers on the road. To help relieve fatigue on a long trip, it is a good idea to: A. Stop and rest every 2 hours. B. Do arm exercises every hour. C. Drive with one eye open at a time. D. Change feet on the gas pedal. A. Stop and rest every 2 hours. To avoid becoming fatigued while taking a long trip, stop every 2 hours for a short break. If you become drowsy, pull off the road and park in a safe place to take a nap, or find a room to stay for the night.
Want to ace your DMV test? Click on the link below and get your guaranteed cheat sheet.
This sign means: A. No left turn. B. Flagger ahead. C. Two-way left turn. D. Turn right or go through. A. No left turn. Regulation signs regulate traffic speed and movement, displaying rules which drivers must obey. This regulation sign means that left turns are prohibited. While driving, you come upon a sign displaying the words "Reduced speed, 35 miles per hour." This means: A. That the new 35 miles per hour speed limit begins at this sign. B. That the new 35 miles per hour speed limit begins at the next speed limit sign. C. That you have plenty of time to slow down before the reduced speed zone. D. That you should reduce your speed to 35 miles per hour, but only under poor weather conditions. A. That the new 35 miles per hour speed limit begins at this sign. Reduced speed signs inform drivers that they must reduce their speeds. If a new speed limit is posted on one of these signs, the new speed limit begins at the sign. What are the colors of warning signs indicating upcoming hazards? A. Black letters or symbols on a white background. B. Black letters or symbols on a yellow background. C. White letters or symbols on a blue background. D. White letters or symbols on a green background. B. Black letters or symbols on a yellow background. Warning signs that indicate approaching hazards are usually yellow with black lettering or symbols. Warning signs in work zones are orange with black lettering or symbols. When you are in a line of traffic that is crossing a railroad track that has no signals or gates. A. You have the right of way and do not need to check for trains. B. You may pass slower drivers while crossing the track. C. You need to make sure there is space for your vehicle to get all the way across the tracks without stopping. D. All of the above. C. You need to make sure there is space for your vehicle to get all the way across the tracks without stopping. If you are following another vehicle at a railroad crossing, check to make sure you have enough room to get all the way across before you drive onto the tracks. You should never try to pass another vehicle as you approach or cross a railroad crossing. Always check for trains before crossing any railroad tracks. When driving in bad weather, drivers should A. Increase their speed to reach their final destination more quickly. B. Decrease their following distance. C. Increase their following distance. D. None of the above. C. Increase their following distance. When driving on wet roads, drivers should increase their following distance. A small vehicle may begin to float in only fill in the blank of water. A. 1 foot. B. 2 inches. C. 6 inches. D. 2 feet. C. 6 inches. Be careful to avoid driving through flooded areas. A small vehicle may begin to float in as little as 6 inches of standing water. Deeper water may cause a vehicle to be washed away. What should you do when you see this sign? A. Look for a train station ahead. B. Signal before going any further. C. Slow down and yield for trains. D. Stop. C. Slow down and yield for trains. This sign indicates that there is a railroad crossing on the road ahead. You should always slow down when approaching a railroad crossing. Trains cannot yield to cars, so you must let them pass before crossing the tracks. What happens if a driver under the age of 21 operates a vehicle with alcohol in their system? A. They will face only license suspension. B. They will face only jail time. C. They may face a fine, jail time, and license revocation. D. They will get a warning. C. They may face a fine, jail time, and license revocation. West Virginia has a zero-tolerance policy for drivers under the age of 21 who operate vehicles with any measurable alcohol in their systems. A driver under the legal drinking age of 21 could face a day in jail, a fine of up to $500, and license revocation for a period of time. Blood alcohol content (BAC) depends on each of the following, except A. Your body weight. B. How much you drink. C. How much time passes between drinks. D. How physically fit you are. D. How physically fit you are. Your blood alcohol content (BAC) depends on how much alcohol you drink, how much time passes between drinks, and your weight. It is not affected by the type of alcoholic beverages you drink, your level of physical fitness, or how well you can hold your liquor. The sign with this shape and color is a fill in the blank sign. A. No passing zone. B. Wrong way. C. Railroad crossing. D. Stop. A. No passing zone. Pennant-shaped warning signs like this are only used to indicate a no passing zone. Night driving can be more difficult than driving during the day because A. Cars overheat more quickly at night. B. Visibility is reduced in the dark. C. It is more likely to be raining at night. D. You are more likely to encounter a motorcycle at night. B. Visibility is reduced in the dark. At night, your field of vision is reduced. To make sure you are able to react to hazards on the roadway, always use appropriate headlights. Drive slowly enough that you are able to stop within the distance that you can see ahead. You must stop at a railroad crossing when A. Directed to do so by a flagger. B. It is controlled by a stop sign. C. Flashing red signals and gates are present and operating. D. All of the above. D. All of the above. You must stop at a railroad crossing when directed to do so by a flagger or stop sign. Stop when flashing red signals and gates are present and operating. This road sign means A. Intersection ahead. B. Steep grade ahead. C. Winding road. D. Merging traffic. B. Steep grade ahead. This sign indicates that a steep downhill grade is ahead. When approaching railroad tracks, you should A. Look, listen, slow down, and be prepared to stop. B. Speed up to cross the tracks before the gate is lowered. C. Try to drive around a lowered gate. D. Not pay attention to how many tracks there are to cross. A. Look, listen, slow down, and be prepared to stop. When approaching railroad tracks, you should look, listen, slow down, and be prepared to stop for trains or other vehicles that may be using the rails. You are driving when it starts to sleet or snow. You should A. Keep your windshield and mirrors clear. B. Allow additional distance between your vehicle and the vehicles that you are following. C. Approach all vehicles with caution. D. All of the above. D. All of the above. In snowy weather, keep your windshield and mirrors clear. Increase your following distance when driving in wet and cold weather because a slippery road surface will increase the distance needed for your vehicle to stop. You are involved in an accident and another person is injured. You should A. Move the injured away from the scene immediately. B. Always leave the injured where they are. C. Not move the injured unnecessarily. Keep the injured warm and administer first aid. D. Stay away from the injured. C. Not move the injured unnecessarily. Keep the injured warm and administer first aid. After an accident, do not move the injured unnecessarily. Unskilled handling can make serious injuries out of minor ones. Keep the injured warm until skilled help arrives. If there is severe bleeding, attempt to stop the flow of blood with direct pressure. This sign means A. Bicycle crossing. B. Stop. C. Fines double in a work zone. D. Stop ahead. A. Bicycle crossing. Warning signs prepare drivers for upcoming road conditions and hazards and are usually yellow with black markings. This sign alerts drivers to potential bicycle cross traffic. When you see this black and yellow sign, it means A. The road to the right is for one-way traffic only. B. That due to upcoming roadwork, there is a detour to the right. C. Slow down because the road ahead changes direction at an extreme angle. D. There is a crossroad to your right. C. Slow down because the road ahead changes direction at an extreme angle. This sign indicates that the road ahead changes direction at an extreme angle, in this case, to the right. Before you reach such an extreme curve, you should slow down as much as you would when making a turn at an intersection. This road sign means A. All traffic must turn right. B. No right turn. C. All traffic must go straight ahead. D. A road joins from the right. D. A road joins from the right. This sign indicates that there is an intersection ahead. A road joins from the right. This road sign means A. No passing zone. B. Winding road. C. Pedestrian crossing. D. Low ground railroad crossing. D. Low ground railroad crossing. This sign indicates a low ground railroad crossing. Where this sign is present, railroad tracks cross the road at a steep slope and the bottom of low vehicles may drag or get caught on the tracks. This road sign means A. You are about to enter a one-way street from the wrong direction. B. U-turns are prohibited. C. You may proceed if the way is clear. D. Come to a complete stop before proceeding. A. You are about to enter a one-way street from the wrong direction. If you drive past these signs, you are going the wrong way and are at risk of a head-on collision. You should cautiously turn around.